Perfect. Hi, welcome. Jen brought a bunch of herbs, so this is smell-o-vision for all of you. I don't know. So let it be whatever herb you want it to be. I have mint. I might just start chewing on this. That's okay. Okay, cool. No problem, Aubrey, for sure. Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna set it on my laptop because that's fun. Well, welcome everybody. It's 9. I'm like, I had to check. I'm like, where am I going today? Like all, all those sort of things. Okay, so today is continuation of Thursday when we were talking sequencing. So we'll move on to, today will look like this. It'll look like, we'll go over sun A's and sun B's. We're gonna talk about them, why we do them, what they look like. We're gonna play with them a little bit. So you'll be moving this morning. We will then, once we get that done, we're going to talk about preparatory poses. So thinking of things that like might happen in a class that are just like fun, that you're like, that you see the teacher doing, you're like, is there a reason that we're doing that? And usually there is, hopefully there's a reason. Knowing that why is just always going to be the question that will be asked if you are introducing something and like, why am I putting this in here? Why am I wanting to incorporate something like this into my class and into my sequence. And then we'll and all the while we're going to practice teach this. So we'll play around with, we'll kind of go over experience, and then you'll practice teach it. So you get to kind of do and like put it into play for yourself. So it should be very immersive today, and not like, we'll be sitting some, but it'll be getting up and moving around too. So we're not just sitting straight the whole time. Yay, right? Which is good. I'm sure you probably appreciate that. Unless you're Bryce, and we'll see how Bryce is doing. Bryce just got his booster, so we'll see. We'll see.
I may just pass out.
He might just have, yeah, you might just, if you're just like lying down in the corner, we'll just cover you up. And we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start first with, has anyone practiced since Thursday and notice anything? Have you had a chance? I don't know if anyone's had a chance to practice yet.
Practice sequencing?
No, just taking a class. Did you take a class and like notice? Yeah. Did you notice anything while practicing, just thinking about the sequence? Did you start to kind of think like, oh, where was the peak, or what was the peak? Was there a peak? I mean, there doesn't have to be a peak.
Really?
Do you remember?
It was just like, come back in.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
But the variety and the complexity, I did notice, like, particularly there's one I went through where it's like, I'm really craving some quadricep stretch, and there's not any in here really. Like Crescent brings it in, but not. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna add this in, and so it's tweaking. Tweaking some of the poses that are in the regular sequence, but to incorporate the quadricep stretch. So then that was like a little sub focus for me personally.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to change the sequence. I just changed the pose a little bit.
Yep. Love it. So I love that. So thinking of, so this can be like, oh, that's what whiteboard. Remember I had it Thursday and that's what I forgot. The whiteboard. I'll go get the whiteboard in a minute, but that's what I forgot. So we'll do a list of just like preparatory poses and different things and variations like that. And so if we think of like quadricep stretches, what's a pose you already do in the Cambio sequence that you can make into a quad stretch? Yes.
I don't know what it is, but like we're in tabletop.
Oh, that one, tabletop. Yes, that's one.
Half pigeon.
Half pigeon. Yes. What else?
Tadasana.
Oh, doing dancer.
Not even dancer, just bring one
Just,
up in like a standing one-legged Tadasana.
Yeah. Yep. What else? Yes.
Crescent into crescent.
Well, because you drop your back.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then your hips drop down.
Yes. What else? There's another really obvious one.
Legs over here. You reach behind.
Oh,
You reach
focus.
behind and you pull your bow
A floor boat.
From Locust.
Mhm.
I'm all.
But yes, Kayla got it online here. Yes, lizard lunge.
Oh.
Yes, good job, Kayla. So in lizard, when you bend the knee and reach back, you get a twist and a quad stretch. One of my favorites, like favorite. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. So starting to think of like, oh, if I wanted to, that's one way that you could tweak the sequence a little bit for yourself when you start teaching. If you even just give that option to people, like when I teach, I often say, come to lizard lunge. And then I usually let people pick, like, do you want to stay in lizard lunge? Do you want to come to your forearms? Do you want the block? Do you want the twist? Do you want the, like, what do you want to do? Like, I'm very much about giving them that choice. Unless I really know they're going to need it, then I'll encourage everybody to do it later, or for something maybe preparatory for later in class. Yeah. Cool. Great. Anyone? Okay. Did anyone else practice and notice anything?
I
Yeah.
did an
Austin.
observation,
Oh,
which
cool.
actually was Thursday morning, but then I was thinking about it while we were
Yeah.
there
Uh-huh.
on Thursday night. It was Sam staying, and
Yeah, it was
hers
fresh. It was
was,
fresh.
yeah, it was all about like shoulders,
Uh-huh.
and that was like her focus was
Mhm.
shoulders and twists. So she had everybody get the strap, and she did the over the head thing, and we did a lot of like thread the needle, and it was just really interesting to see that like that was the focus, and everything was pretty low to the ground. There was nothing like, not a ton of balancing things or things like that. It was all very much like mobility, and I thought that was cool. Like this is just a focus that was different.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
that was
Oh,
cool.
good. See.
Breath of Joy, she was amazing. I was in the class with Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. So see, I'm not lying when I tell you these things. Love it. Great. Anyone else? No. Okay, cool. All right. So now just this will happen. So what I'll tell you that'll probably happen now that you move into teaching is that teaching and practicing will become an interesting thing for you. So now when you practice, you will kind of have that teacher brain a little bit of like, it's one of those that you have to like consciously make that effort to be like, I'm practicing today. I'm not thinking about being a teacher. I'm not thinking about the sequence. I'm not here to learn. I'm here to practice. And you have to like draw that line in the sand for yourself. Otherwise, it'll feel like you never get to practice because you'll just be like learning mode or like feedback mode or whatever. So it's one of those things that it's like teacher training is great and sometimes it ruins you with that or you're like but it's great too and it's so fun. So that's where like having a notebook, I would say, if you bring a notebook with you either in the room or have it with you for after class to take notes if a teacher ever does teach something that you do really like and are inspired by, or just a personal reflection for yourself of like, here's how practice felt for me today. Like this felt really good in my body. This was really challenging. All that sort of have that reflective moment can be really helpful for yourself when you start teaching. Okay. So let's talk today now about sun salutations. So what are they? What are they? What are they for? Why do we do them? Specifically, let's look at sun salutation A. What is going on in the sun salutation A? Warming up the spine. Mhm.
Heating up the body.
Yep, getting the body warm. What else? Yes, hello, sun. Yes, we're welcoming the sun. What else?
Deep breath.
Connecting breath. And what does all that do? Yes, Megan just went like this, friends at home. Yes, it draws us in a little bit, right? It gets us from the distraction from the outside world and starts to pull us a little bit more into ourselves, to do a little pratyahara, that inward shift. And then from there, so this is the thing where I am pretty diligent, I will say, about I always do at least 3 rounds of sun A's. It's one of those things that like I will see it get shortchanged in classes where a teacher maybe just does 1. And I will say, have you ever been in that class? Right. And you're like, but like, I feel like this is me. But wait, I would like, because of what it does, because it does warm up the body and the brain. It's that thing, it lets my mind it like unwinds it a little bit. So it's one of those things to like keep that in mind when you're sequencing, to don't skip out on those sun A's and the sun B's. And obviously this will depend on your students and who you're working with, but I'm speaking specifically for like a vinyasa flow class at a studio. So general population, you know, this is not like for a private or with a small group, depending on where they're at. Like if they're a bunch of beginners, then you will adapt it a little bit, but this is like a general public class. Like there is that level of vinyasa that you will be getting sun salutations. That is the expectation of the students. You know, they know that in vinyasa, there's room for creativity and different things are going to happen, but like my expectation as a student when I come is that I will flow, that will happen because it is the title of the class. Right? So, I mean, this sounds very simple, but I'm telling you, sometimes you go to classes and you're like, what, we're not flowing. Why aren't we flowing? Kind of a feeling. So using that for is just like, let me be in your mind when you start teaching and be like, would Laura do this? Or would she be happy flowing? So be happy flowing. And then knowing that there are variations, we're going to go over there. I mean, there are many variations, many different sun salutations to do. What I put in your handout is like the traditional, like the Krishnamacharya traditional sun A that you've maybe done in class at some point along the way. And then another one that tweaks it. And then we'll probably have time to go over, there's another one that's pretty common that you'll see in the class, because those are good to do to like change things up a little bit once you start feeling comfortable. And then we'll talk a little bit about why we would do those different variations, okay? And then how about sun B? What about sun B? Why do we do sun Bs? What do those do? Yes.
Engage the muscles.
Primary muscle groups start to engage.
I think it focuses so much on alignment that energetically it kind of, I don't know if prepares or opens, either one of those words is exactly right, but because you're focusing on your alignment, you're focusing on reaching and stretching and expanding and getting those lines in the body, it starts to cultivate maybe the space for the other postures through the class to start to work the way they're supposed to work.
Yeah, so we're getting more muscles. Yeah, Will, go ahead.
I would say sun A brings awareness and sun B brings connection.
Oh, that's
Maybe
nice.
breath.
So did you all hear that at home? It said sun A brings awareness and sun B brings connection. Tell us more about that, Will.
Because you're starting to do one breath per movement, you're really starting to, in the first sun A, you're starting to be aware of your breath. You're starting to fire it up from integration. You're starting to remember that if you breathe with your movement, that they can be connected. And it goes in sun B really cements that, where after sun B, you're not really thinking about them being connected. They just are. So in sun B, you're really bridging that gap of breath initiates the movement.
Yes, I love that. Yes. Great. I love it. Both of you, correct and lovely points. I will also say, to kind of Jen's point, that it's a great way to start to set up what you're going to do later. So how you do your sun B will prepare you for maybe for what's next. So this is when we look at maybe doing a different sun B than what we typically do in the Cambio sequence, where you maybe add something into the mix, like maybe you add a twist or a balance or something along those lines that's going to be preparatory and mimic what's going to happen later on in the practice. So those can be nice little ways to do that. And then there's also, you will sometimes see in class, the like in between the sun A and sun B, there's sometimes a little something. Have you noticed that? Right? So I don't know what we call those. Just the little mini flows, right? Sun A and a half or something like, and sometimes it's a continuation of a sun A, and sometimes it's something a little bit different. So we'll talk about those too, what those can look like. And then sometimes you may see what's called a sun C. So a sun C is basically a continuation of the sun B, where maybe some extra poses or some other things have been added on to to the sequence. So it might be like you're flowing, 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 and then you add a little bit more on, and that kind of becomes a sun C. So it's that continual build and repetition from a sun B into a sun C. Yeah, cool. Okay. Are you excited about the idea of creating sun A's and sun B's? Does that seem fun to you? Or is it scary? Or are you like, a little of both, a little of both? Yeah. Well, we'll get to play today with that, so you can play. And if you're like, please don't confuse my brain, then you just stick to the Cambio Sun B, and that's great. So you always have the option, just like in class, you have the option. You can, if you're like, do not mess with my brain right now, that's totally fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move. We're gonna do some sun A's. We're gonna do the sun A's. So hopefully your belly's not full. If it is, take your time. I have a group that I teach on Thursdays, and I walked in and they usually I do a class for them and then they eat lunch. And I walked in and they were all eating, and I was like, okay, so now I'm going to teach you yoga, right? And they're all eating Mexican. And I was like, you all are killing me right now. So, so I had to get very creative. There were no cobras, right? I was like, because I'm not going to be like, bleh, you know, they're like, that would be terrible. So I had to, that was a moment for me as a teacher where I was like a little bit panicky. And then I had to be like, okay, wait, what can I do for them? If I think about if my belly's really full, you know, that sort of thing. So that was kind of a funny, I had to adapt our sun A's. Okay, so let's come to a standing position. So everybody, and at home as well, that includes you. Let me look at my notes. Let's make sure I teach it right. Sometimes I just start changing it. All right, so step to the top of your mat. And then Samastiti. So hands to heart center. And you can do feet together or hip width, your choice. Traditionally, it's feet together, but traditionally it was also 13-year-old boys that were doing this. So, so you know, there's that. Hips are a little bit different these days for a lot of us. Okay, so from here, hands to heart center, and then you'll inhale, hook your thumbs, lift up into a little bit of a back bend. So inhale, stretch, lift up, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, step your right foot back, come to a low lunge, look forward. And then exhale, downward facing dog, step your left foot back. Good. Now we'll do 8-pointed pose. So inhale, come forward to a high plank of sorts and drop your knees, chest, and chin. Yep. So Jen's doing it right there. So bum is up in the air, chin is on the floor. And then inhale, come through a cobra pose. So you're going to slide through a little bit. You can lift up. Yeah, you can come up higher. Yes. And then exhale, come back, downward facing dog from here. Good. Inhale, step your right foot forward, look forward, and then exhale, right foot forward. So, yep. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then Urdhva Hastasana, stand all the way up. Inhale, rise up, a little bit of that back bend again, and then Samastiti, hands to heart center. Okay. Yeah, so back bend, you all, with this one is arms straight lifted. It's not this one, and it's not an exhale. You're inhaling into the back bend. Okay, so it's an inhale lift. Okay, so you got that. Okay, so that's half. That's just like it. That is a half, because the way we stepped back with the feet, that's a half cycle. So we've got to in order to get a full cycle, we've got to even it out with the feet. Okay, so hands at heart center. Let's see, will you remember? What do we do next first? Hook thumbs, back bend, inhale, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, step left foot back, lunge, look forward, and then downward facing dog. Good. Now 8-point pose, come forward, inhale, and then exhale it down. Cobra pose, inhale, come through. Exhale, downward facing dog, take it back. Inhale, step left foot forward, look forward, drop your hips. And then forward fold, exhale, bow. Hook thumb, standing back bend. Inhale, lift up, stretch, stretch, stretch. Samastitihi, hands to heart center. Good. So that's one. That would be considered one round. Okay. How'd that feel? Feel all right? Nostalgic, right? It's like old school. So if you do Shivananda or any like old just Krishnamacharya, like there's a lot of different styles, but that's like the straight up every time. That's what you're getting every single time. Okay. So who would do that? Why would we do that variation? What would be some reasons we'd want to teach that variation in class? The legs. So work the legs. What? The spine. Yep. You're getting those back bends in the lunge and standing. Yep. What else?
Moving the breath, like you're starting to really get
Yep. You're really working with the breath. What's different than what we do? Than our side? There's no half lift. What else? The 8-point pose. Yeah. So how is that different than chaturanga?
You're coming down to the chest all the way,
Mhm.
so you're not in that line.
Is it easier or harder?
It's easier.
Could be easier. It could be easier because you do start with your knees on the floor. So, and you're not doing up dog. So it is cobra. We're doing a cobra instead. So it is a variation that you can do for yourself, even when you're practicing. Like for my body, I don't love 8-point pose. It's not my fave, but a lot of people really do. So it is a nice one to offer up for options for people because it can feel really good in a lot of people's bodies. So, you know, it's a good one to throw in there sometimes to just like start to ease people, to warm them up towards a chaturanga. So that can be a nice alternative to chaturanga too. Cool. All right. So now we're going to do a little different one. So this is sort of like the modernized version, I would say, of this one. Okay. So hands at heart center. Let me just look at mine, make sure I say it right. Okay, so inhale, that back bend, hook thumbs, lift up, stretch. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Now inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, step right foot back, low lunge, bring your knee to the floor. And then inhale, crescent moon, take your arms up overhead. Good. Exhale, hands down to the mat, plank pose, step back. And now your choice. You can do 8-pointer pose or you can vinyasa. You choose. What do you want to do? And then meet back in down dog. Good. Now step right foot forward and inhale, crescent moon. Come on up. Lift up. Big breath in and stretch. Crescent moon. Back knee is down. Yep. And then exhale, forward fold. Look forward. Step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Extended mountain pose, rise up, inhale, big breath, stretch. Hands to heart center, exhale. Okay, we'll do the other side. Inhale, lift up, back bend, lift it, stretch. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift, halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold, step left foot back this time. Drop the knee down, crescent moon, rise up. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, hands to floor, plank to vinyasa. Take it back and down. Your choice, how you're doing it. Good. Warming up here. Meeting in down dog. Good. Step left foot forward. Inhale, crescent moon, rise up. Exhale, hands to the floor, forward fold. Right foot meets the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, big breath, stretch, stretch, back bend if you'd like. Hands to heart center, Samastiti. Good. Nice. All right, how'd that one feel? Like that one better? Why? Do you know why?
Just felt better. Maybe more familiar.
More familiar, a little more comfortable. The pace was faster. Well, the first one, you can go real fast. So just know you can do that one super fast. Yeah. Yeah. I think those halfway lifts are maybe a little more, they make it a little more comfortable. You're like, okay, I've been here before. But they're both different ways. you know, that you can do your Sun A. But just knowing that when you do that, so what you just did was one round. So you'd have to do that then 2 times. So you'd be like 4 times technically, you know, if you're looking at it. So it's one of those, you've got to like plan ahead. And it's one of those where you got to get your rights and lefts down, right? That one. That's when, you know, the rights and lefts can get tricky. Interesting, Kayla. Tell me more about that. Why? Because that is the warm up. So she said it was hard because she wasn't warmed up. Tell me more.
I just felt like, and I don't know, like mornings are really stiff, like for me in general, but like, I just felt like I couldn't get into the crescent lunge fast enough. Like my legs.
Well,
just,
it's not crescent lunge, it's crescent moon.
or crescent moon, sorry. Like fast enough. So it was just harder for my body personally to really, I don't know, get into that one the same way.
Was your knee down on the floor or was your knee lifted?
It was on the floor.
Well, I mean, it is fast. It's definitely faster. It's definitely a faster movement. And you can do it, like you can do it where the first time you hold it for a couple of breaths, like that first time that you step your foot back, you can hold it for a couple breaths. And then when you step forward, you hold it for a couple breaths and then you really flow everything. So you can vary it, you know, depending on the time of day and who the students are in your practice, like coming in. So it doesn't have to go 1 breath per movement right away. There can be some holds there for sure. Yeah, Jen.
I really like those 2 and there's a story to that, but I think they can become meditative.
Yep.
Very meditative. Like I would do malas with that, like where it's 108 of each of them. And there's a different kind of movement, particularly in the second one, because that crescent moon, when your back knee's down, there's like more of that kind of arching through your body. So it's this up and down, and it becomes a little more of a dance kind of experience.
Agreed.
Yeah, and they quickly become very meditative.
Yep. They can clear the cobwebs out real fast, because especially if you know they're coming, and like sometimes when I teach it, I just like go. I'm like, we're gonna do this for 5-7 minutes and just let people flow. And I'll do that myself, my own personal practice, where I'll just do a bunch of those, because you do get lunging, there's a lot, you can easily skip chaturanga or not, you know, it's like all of those can be done with or without chaturangas as well, which is really nice. And it just changes things up a little bit differently than what you've done. So let's do what you've done. Let's just come back. So come to the top of your mat. So like, let's just be like, oh yeah, this one, let's do our Sun A. So hands at heart center. Good. And then inhale, arms up, big breath stretch. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, vinyasa of choice, you choose. Everybody meets in down dog, good. And inhale, look forward. Exhale it out, step or hop to the top. Good, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain, rise up. Exhale, Samastiti. Pause. And how's that one? Really comfortable, right? Super comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
I like the second one.
Second one was favorite. The heart opener. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, Kelsey, so Kelsey and Kayla, your points of that one being harder too is we didn't do like child's pose and all that stuff. So you have to keep that one, keep grain of salt, right? There wasn't any prep for it, but there will be just, you know, there are some styles that will start where you start in seated, you do a little breathing, a little meditation, you stand up and you're in it. And that's like where they begin. So just know there are styles that do that. And that, you know, but it's repetition. They'll do it a lot. It's not just like 2 rounds, you know, it's like full on the whole time.
In that second one, would you ever surf out the legs that early, or would you still wait till Sunday? Like from crescent?
No, I wouldn't, just because then it's turning into something different
Okay.
for me personally, as when I'm teaching it. Not, I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it's not terrible, but then it starts to get a little convoluted of
Well,
like,
and that's so quick to move
mhm,
right into those.
uh-huh. Mhm. Yeah, yes. Let's see, okay. We're gonna do one more. This one is really common that you will see. Let me just see if I've got, so this one will start, so this can either be, yeah, let me look at my notes here. This one you can do, this could be a sun A, or this could be that little mini flow that we talked about that you can sometimes see in between sun A and sun B. So come to down dog. So just everybody start in down dog with this one. Okay, then from here, lift your right leg up, inhale, exhale, lunge. Bring your left knee down, crescent moon, come on up. Breathe, so a couple breaths here. Good, so this could be, if we were, let's just treat this, we'll treat this as like that mini, like that in between. So just holding, and this is also gonna be nice, hopefully for y'all, to just warm your body up this morning. So push into your front heel, feel your back knee root down and your inner thighs are hugging in, shoulders are relaxed, good. And then half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana, shift your weight back, straighten your right leg, hips stack over the left knee, flex your right foot, your toes can turn in and out, let your spine be long. Good, breathe, let your right heel slide back a little bit to keep your hips level. Let your spine be long, so reach your collarbones forward, good. Nice, and now from here, come shift forward into a lunge, and then single legged halfway lift, balance on your right leg. Now you can use blocks, you can use water bottles, you can lift your hands, your right knee is bent and your left leg is straight. So lower your left outer hip, lift through your left inner thigh. So it's still a halfway lift in your torso. And then exhale, forward fold, bow down. But inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Now Utkatasana, bend your knees, shift your weight back, weights into your heels, breathe. You're all like, wait, I don't want to warm up with this. So feet are either hip width or together, good. Let them be parallel, breathe in, and then fold forward, exhale. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold, and vinyasa. Take it back, high to low, or simply step to down dog. So sometimes I'll just go right to down dog, knowing that this is an in-betweener, and it's like, we'll just cut out of vinyasa if need be. Okay, and then left side, inhale, left leg lifts. What's next? Lunge, then what? Crescent moon. This is your quiz. Good, and just hold it. So we're warming that first one. So yeah, hold it, giving yourself some time here, breathe, pushing into the heel. Relax your shoulders. Yeah, lifting up out of your low back. And then which pose is next? Half splits. You're jumping ahead, Jen. Not there. Not yet.
Oh, sorry, no, thank you.
Half splits. Ardha Hanumanasana. Shift it back. Left leg is long. Turn the toes in and out. Everyone usually, just so you know, when you teach this in class, inevitably there's usually like one person that does what Jen just did. Like you say half splits and they launch forward. And it's funny because it's always that thing where it's like we're just not in our bodies yet, where it's like, this is why we need sun A's and sun B's so much, to like get us dropped into our bodies a little bit. And we just forget sometimes. We're like, oh wait, whoops.
Did a practice this morning now.
You're like, I'm ready. Okay, now what's next? What is the name of the pose? Single legged halfway lift. So draw the top of your left thigh bone back, lower your right outer hip a little bit and lift through your right inner thigh. So it's still a halfway lift in your torso. That hasn't changed. And then exhale, fold forward, right foot down. Good. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Then Utkatasana, sit back, bend your knees. Inhale, one breath. Exhale, fold forward, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. And then down dog or vinyasa, take it back. Good. Okay, how'd that one feel? Come on down. Friends at home, how'd that feel for you? I think, was that a thumb up, Kayla? Thought I saw a thumb up. All
I
right.
like
You liked it? Okay, cool, great. Friends and, yes, Rice, go ahead.
I really enjoy like the one-legged halfway lifts. I don't know why, but I just always really like them. So I
Mhm.
like that a lot 'cause it has.
Yeah, that single leg halfway lift or one-legged halfway lift, yeah. Mhm.
I think it feels more intense because the half split and then the single leg halfway lift. Single leg standing halfway lift, right?
I never say standing because it's obvious that you're
Single leg
standing.
halfway- There's a lot of words and they're not working right. I feel that in my hamstring
Mhm.
a lot. more. So
Totally.
it feels more intense in addition to be a single leg balance.
Uh-huh, yes. Mhm. And that's why when I teach that, I always teach to bend that standing leg. Like, make sure that standing leg is bent. It does not need to be straight, especially because it's early on and we're warming up the hamstring. We're getting the hamstring ready. So why would we do that? Why would we do that little mini flow or make that our sun A? What would be, yes, Austin?
My first thought was like, if you're gonna do a lot of balancing
Uh-huh, yep,
things, because I know
balancing.
sometimes I'm just not warmed up enough by the time I get to balancing. And so
Mhm.
that helped me feel like it was very in control.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's what I would probably think of
Yep,
first.
if you're gonna do balancing, what else?
I like that it gets the hip flexor and then the hamstring with the crescent and the half split.
Yep. Mhm. Mhm. What else? Megan, you started to say something.
Oh, no, hips and the series we did before we did arm Sunday. they were both kind of open, activating the hips in ways that in our series, that to me, I don't feel like it's on it.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. A little bit different. Uh-huh. What else? What other body part really gets worked? It does. You mentioned it, but why the hamstrings? So what would that prep us for?
Splits,
Mhm.
standing halfway or standing splits.
Standing splits, splits, any kind of big hamstring work, it's gonna be a good preparatory sort of a thing. So it's one of those that you could definitely weave in, whether you're just like, let's get a little bit more hamstring work thrown in
Just
there.
Like arm balances, like
Mhm. Yep.
how to,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
So out of curiosity, if you were going to put this in between a sun A and a sun B in like the rest of it being the normal Cambio flow,
Uh-huh.
do you still keep like crescent? Because you get similar benefits out of the crescent move, but maybe just not quite as, or not, or yeah. Like what I feel like we have a full class with the Cambio sequence. What gets shifted or taken out if you're gonna put that in?
Well, let's see. What do you think?
Personally, I feel like this crescent sequence would get removed, but you just find another place to put lizard lunge in, so you still get that.
But
then-
what do you do if you were cut out that, then what are you losing? That's important. Twist. So then you still if you did, then you'd need to do a twist. You'd need to still get that compressive twist somewhere if you were to cut that out.
The supine twist, not,
That's not, because
not enough.
no, that's
Okay.
not enough, because that's at
Okay.
the very end and that's more of meant to be like just a release of the
Okay.
muscles of the spine. It's not, we're not working like that intensity and depth. It's just a different sort of sensation than the other twists that we would typically do.
So if you added like a third twist into the Ukotasuki
Yeah.
series,
Yep.
and
Mhm. You could do prayer twist instead. Yep. Mhm. I would say I'd probably, if I was looking at the Cambio sequence, I would probably, what I would do is that if you could always cut side plank, although I think side plank is great. You could definitely during your eagle, that eagle portion and Utkatasana, don't vinyasa back and forth, just go right side, left side, immediately go one side into the other. And then you could do your triangle series without just stay standing the whole time. Do the front and the back, because you've all learned that, right? Where you just stand up and then go to the back. So that you would gain some time there. And then seeing where you're at time-wise, maybe cut camel. You know, yeah, so it's like maybe cut one of those sort of little things. So it's like when in doubt, it's like, where can you cut some of those vinyasas? And it's not your son A and your son B, okay? Right, so that it's like, can you cut some of those extra ones out of there? Those can really help with saving some time. Yeah. Mhm. Cool. Okay. All right. Yes, Megan.
So for me, I've always absolutely hated presents.
Oh,
So,
ooh.
like, back in the days,
Mhm. Do you ever grab a blanket?
I do sometimes, but it, like, it sometimes can get in the way of the flow.
Mhm.
Does anybody thoughts?
Where on your knee you're landing.
You know, I try to shift it, and maybe it's just that I just have these little beautiful bony knees.
Bony knees.
But I just.
Yeah, if you
So-
put pressure underneath, that might.
What if you tuck your toes under that back foot too and engage that leg a little bit more? And really kind of lift up and out.
Yeah, like scissoring the legs together to kind of lift.
I mean, I would just like, if it like when sometimes my knees will bother me and I just do the blanket across, like, I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then just kind of float around your leg.
Mhm. Yeah, and then you can always kick it out of the way if need be. And you will see people that have like extra padding that they bring too. Like there's a couple students I have that have like a little rectangle thing. It's like a little yoga mat size like this, and they just have there. Or there's little like flowers that are literally meant for, it's like an indent for your knee. So, you know. Mhm. So it's just adapting. It's using props, which I know you're like, get you out of your flow. But if they can help it to feel better, you know, like that's why one reason I always practice with a blanket, just because I never know like how my knees are going to feel. Like sometimes even in half pigeon, I like it under that back knee. That feels better, you know, so you just kind of play around with it. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Cool. You're welcome. Mhm. Okay, so now we're gonna break out, we'll do some teaching. So you can pick, we're gonna play with, practice any of those Sundays to teach one another. And if you're like, I have to just stick to the straight up one, like if you're too like, no, I can't do it, then that's fine. Like I don't want to cause you any anxiety. But if you want to kind of try something a little bit different, feel free to play with that. So you can do that. There's three things you can play with. Okay. So just making sure you keep it even when you're flowing with and give each other feedback, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So you do have those first two are written down in your handout. The other one, do you remember what it was? Do you need me to tell you? Yeah, with a single leg halfway lift.
Forward fold. Well,
So
Sounds
from down
easy.
dog, you start in down dog. You step forward, crescent moon to half splits, single leg halfway lift, forward fold. And I threw in Utkatasana because that's like, then you don't have to do Utkatasana again. You can just go right into your Sun B from there, where you do the warrior two after that, because you've just done Utkatasanas. You've just done two. So that saves you some time there by adding, right? Mhm. If you want to, so your choice. So play around with it. Let's see. Okay, so friends at home. I'll break you up into groups, and then here we'll just do, what's our number? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even. All right, we'll partner up. Grab a partner, and let's take about 10 minutes or so to do this. We'll see if you need more time, let me know, but 10 minutes should be good to just sort of kind of play around with that and see where you're at here.
Hey.
Just going here. Okay, friends at home, got you all set up. Moment. Okay. How'd it go? How was it at home? Go okay? Any insights? Anything? Anything come up? No. All right, mom's the word at home. All right. All right, in studio, how was it? Yes,
So what do we do with our arms for this, 8-point post? What do we?
the 8-point, they are, Jen, do you want to do it? Since I know you like to do this one. I'm gonna turn the camera so they can see you. Can we see her? There we are. There she is. Okay, so you come forward, high plank, and then you'll start to lower. So the elbows bend and they hug in at the sides. There we go.
Doing this and it was like, it's not.
No,
Yeah,
that's
like-
Sphinx. That's like a Sphinx pose. Yeah, it's the palms are on the floor. It's just the hands, just the hands.
Oh, and then we can say slide.
Yep, and then you can slide through. You can extend the legs back or slide through a little bit, coming up for your cobra. Yeah. Yeah.
No. that's why
Not
we're
for
like,
arms.
yeah.
You're like, what's happening? Yeah.
So and then from downward facing dog, we say inhale, place your knees, chest and chin.
Yeah.
Inhale, and then
So knees, chest, and chin. You exhale down, just like you do the normal vinyasa. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Questions? Things you noticed? Any aha moments?
Is there a name to the second one?
No, I mean, it's just a Sunday.
Okay. Well, in that second.
One of
one,
many Sundays.
Yeah, it's, you have to be so, I mean, my gosh, the feet.
Yeah, you gotta,
Yeah,
One, your brain kind of wants to say it right, we were on the right, so right foot, right. Like going into it and coming out of it, right, but no,
Mhm.
it's the opposite.
Yeah, because when you step right foot back first, now your left foot is forward, right? And
Mhm.
so, but then you got to step your right foot forward to complete the circle. I know, right? That when I first started teaching, I was like, when that the first time a teacher, I was like, I was in a workshop where they did that, and then she's like, "Now flow on your own," and I'm like the whole time going, "I don't know which one." I was like, so yes, I get it. If your brain is like, that is too much, like that's totally fine. That's why it's written down for you. So later you can you have it for later. Yes, eventually. Mhm.
What
Yeah.
helps that make sense for me is that first half of it, your right foot is leading. The whole
Well,
time.
that's a good way. Lead with your.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, like
Lead,
dance.
that
Lead.
Your right foot leads the first round.
There you
And
go.
then your left foot.
I wish someone had said that to me way back. Very.
When
There
you
you
do
go.
it.
That's good.
But
That's a good way to say that it leads. It leads the front, because stepping back and stepping forward. Yeah. Mhm.
I love that one.
Mhm.
That was a mala at the very beginning of my sobriety journey. And it was a mala I didn't know I was going into,
Mhm.
where you do that 108 times. Like 1, 2, 2. And
Yep.
it's broken into 4 sections, so you get to breathe and have water.
Yeah.
But so we did it slow at the beginning so
Mhm.
that you start to get that muscle memory. But then as you know what's coming next and you can move, it does. You just tie it to your breath and it becomes something very,
Mhm.
very special.
Definitely. Agreed.
I'm so glad we're doing that today. I'm so glad. We don't do that a lot.
Yeah. Mhm. Nice. Anything else? Any other observations? Thoughts? Yes, right.
Just out of curiosity, like for the Cambio sequence, is there a reason that that one's been picked versus something closer to those other two?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't pick them. But they are pretty standard, and like, if you look at like a lot of power vinyasa or vinyasa styles, like that is kind of a typical straightforward one to go with. Mhm. Yeah, but that's why like this, like incorporating this. So this was when we added hours to the teacher training. This was one of the things that I got to do, because I used to only get 2 hours for sequencing. So I was very happy to get this to like, because I want to show you some other options out there when you get to start to teach, so that you're not just like, I know this and this only, like that you have some things in your toolkit now that you can start to incorporate if you want to later down the road. And whether this is for your own personal practice or teaching, you know, that you've got some tools here to help just change things up a little bit. Mhm.
Sorry, random question. Are we gonna have access to all these documents with our class?
Well, you have them right now.
Right, but like, will we still have access on the classroom?
That is a Kristen Matt question.
Can you save the document to your drive?
Yeah, you can just download the document too and save it. Yeah. I don't know. I know in the 300-hour when we do that, they have access, but I don't know how Kristen does it with 200. So you'll have to ask her because I don't know the answer. Sorry. Probably, but I'm not sure. And if not, I mean, I'm sure she'll tell you if there is going to be some like, okay, your access is cut from this, then you can download everything if you want to save it or print it or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a little break, a little bathroom break, and then we'll come back. We're going to talk some bees now. We'll play around with some bees. So we'll do some of that next. Okay. All right. So let's take, what do you need? How much time do you need for a break? And then we'll take a longer one at the next hour so that if you need to eat or whatever you need or whatever you all tell me. How do you like your breaks during this? Does it matter? Do you care?
Had such a variety.
You have such a variety.
More for the online.
They've already, they're
They're
already
already
dark.
gone.
They've gone dark. So
Okay.
they're like, see you later. I don't even know when I'm coming back. Well, how about we take like 7? Let's take 7 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, so downward facing dog. Okay, from here, inhale, look forward. Exhale it out, step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana, rise up. And then exhale, Samastitihi, come to standing. Okay, Utkatasana, sit back down, inhale. Exhale, forward fold, bow down. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, vinyasa, plant your hands, take it back, move through your vinyasa. And then immediately, warrior one, step your right foot forward, back heel down, inhale to warrior one. So it's a shorter, wider stance, warrior one, and then exhale immediately right back down, vinyasa. Feet back in your down dog. Immediately step left foot behind the left wrist, warrior one, inhale, come on up. And then exhale right back down, vinyasa, hands to the floor. Good, and then they typically hold here anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths, then come on down to your knees, and they'd flow that about 5 times. So that's the Sun B. So imagine doing that 5 times. What will happen? What do you think will happen to you? You'll get warm up. You'll really, really warm up with that one. Yep. So it's a very like simple, it moves quickly. It's there's a lot going on. I mean, warrior one, as you remember from Kristen, right? It's a shorter and wider stance. Your feet are not in a line with this one. So that's an option that you can always do. What is missing from that Sun B though? What are we not doing?
Anything getting into the side body.
Yeah, there's not a lot of side body necessarily. What else? No. The hips, yeah, the hips are on the same plane the whole time. So it's
I thought, I was thinking warrior too, just to open, I'm like to never do warrior.
yeah. Yeah, so that one, so I would just say if you were incorporating that in, just making sure then you're getting some warrior two in later, like that you're doing some of that to still get that hip opener a little bit later in the class. Okay, but that's an option. I just want you to know it and experience that one so that you're like, oh, that's what that is. So if you ever feel it in class, like it's been around a very long time. That's Sun B. Okay, why would we do that one? Why would that be one we would want to teach in a class? What? Nice flow. You're just really bringing flow. That's like your theme. It's like flow, flow, flow. Yep. What else?
Someone said it earlier, to generate the heat.
Generate heat. Yep. So this is going to be, is this an easier class or a more intense class? More intense. Yeah, you're definitely bringing it with this one.
Brings the energy really off.
Yeah, energy goes whoosh, big time. Yeah. This can be one. So yeah, this can be one if you're like, you want to quickly build heat, it's definitely going to bring the heat. This is one too, like if everybody's coming in real frazzled with a lot of energy, kind of like this can be a good one to burn all that off real quickly. Can get people like, it's like little kids, let them run around, this is like our version. This is like for adults. It's like taking adults to the park, having them do those all those warrior ones. Yeah.
Can you repeat the sequence?
Yeah. So it's Utkatasana. And then it's basically warrior ones. I mean, that's it really. Like it's warrior ones, but you're stepping forward and then you inhale up. So you get to down, so you exhale to down dog, and it's that pause in between. Before you inhale, you step forward, and then you inhale it up to warrior one.
This is so off topic, I apologize. I just wonder, in the Western world, do we do warrior 2 more frequently because of how hard warrior 1 is on the hips? Like, I just wonder why.
It is definitely more accessible than warrior one. Yeah.
Is there any other reason that it's the more common one?
I don't know. Well, it's easier to link poses to warrior 2 than it is to warrior 1. I would say. I don't know though, but that is interesting. Surely someone's written about it somewhere.
Maybe the type of thing too, like an Arsambi where you replace one of the rounds and stick that in. Or would you want to have consistency?
Well, but then how would you do that?
Like maybe the first round would you do Utkatasana, maybe you do the whole warrior 1 thing, you do warrior 1 like 4 times, right? So you're doing it twice on each leg. But then when you come around, and maybe that's where it doesn't work because the one breath for one movement, you wouldn't just want to start jumping into a warrior 2
Without the building that, yeah. So if you did do it, you could do it like 3 to 4 rounds of the warrior 1. And then you basically do the first round of Sun B where you just hold. Now you're holding warrior 2, you're holding extended side angle, holding reverse warrior. And then you don't need to flow it because you've done all those flows. That's how I do it when in a vinyasa class. And then sometimes I just throw triangle into that too. And we just get all those like done right then and there. Yeah. So it's all like, here's the thing I want to start thinking about is that we've done like a lot of the things you do, that you've learned in your sequence is that now we're just kind of moving stuff around a little bit. So it's not necessarily new things. It's just doing them a little bit differently, which is how you can start to change things up. Yeah. Yes, Jen.
I think the Sun B, that traditional Ashtanga one, is good for focusing because you have to breathe.
Yeah. You
And
have
as
to
your
breathe.
cardio goes up, it becomes harder to breathe
Mhm.
in rhythm. So you really have to focus on it, and that
Yeah.
really draws you inward. So in
Yep.
addition to just, it's like physically and energetically burning off the crazy.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you're-
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Mhm. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so now we'll do another one that we'll do one more. Well, we'll do 2 more. We've got plenty of time. Did you know you get to move today so much? Yay. I hope you're happy about that. Getting to move. Okay, good. Okay, so this one, we'll just pretend you did Utkatasana. We'll just pretend. Okay, and so come to down dog. I mean, unless you really want to do an Utkatasana. You're okay, that's what I figured. Okay, so downward facing dog, and now right leg lifts from here. Exhale, lunge. Crescent lunge. Inhale, rise up. Breathe here. Good. So feet are hip width distance. We're going to take your feet out a little wide. Yeah, there you go. Elbow laser. Good. Relax your shoulders. And breathe. Keep energy in your hands, nice and tall through the torso. Good. Breathe. So Lauren, crescent lunge. That's where we're at. Yeah, good. And then vertical twist. So sweep your right arm back and your left arm forward. So it's a standing vertical twist, that wide twist. Shoulders relax, energy in the hands. Breathe. So Lauren, twist the other way to your right. There you go. Good. Lots of energy. Relax your shoulders, hug your inner thighs, and keep breathing. Good. Now crescent lunge. Come back up. Inhale. And then exhale, warrior two. Open. Spin your back heel down. Good. Breathe. Relax your shoulders. Squeeze your feet together. Good. And then inhale, reach forward. Exhale, extended side angle. Breathe. Imagine you're here. A few breaths. And then reverse warrior. Inhale, come up, lift up. Breathe, push into your front heel. And then exhale, hands down to the mat. Find your vinyasa or step it back to downward facing dog. Good. And then from here, so this left side, I'm going to do it a little bit differently, just so that you can feel it, how both ways are okay. That's super weird, but that just happened. Okay. Left leg lifts, inhale. That was just the iPad talking. I love it. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, crescent, come on up. Exhale, vertical twist to the left. Take the left arm back. Now right arm forward. Good. Nice, nice at home. Good. Relax your shoulders. Good. Breathe. Legs are strong. Good. Now inhale, crescent. Come back up to center. And then exhale, warrior two. Open up, back heel down. Good. Breathe. Couple breaths here. Shoulders down. Squeeze your feet together. Now from here, reverse warrior. Inhale, lift up. Relax your shoulders, push into your front heel. Keep breathing. Good. Now extended side angle. Exhale, come forward. Elbow rests on thigh. Pop arm up. Breathe. The legs are strong. Squeeze your feet together. Keep your back leg straight. And then inhale, reverse warrior. Just one breath lift. And then exhale, take it back down to the floor. Meet in down dog, however you want to. Nice. And then come on down to the knee. Okay. So those were two different. So you're actually getting, look at all these sun bees you're getting. All these sun bees. How are those two different? What was different? Do you remember? Two reverse warriors on the left side. Mhm. Yeah.
Also the reverse warrior before the extended side angle.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, so you can do it either way, but I was like, wait, I'm just going to show you. That was my in the moment. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, but so that you can try, so that you can feel the difference. So let's, so we're going to flow that, but now we'll flow it backwards. So right side is going to go the other way. So you just trust me, downward facing dog. I'll get it. I promise. I'll get it right for you. So you can just feel the difference and see if there is any difference for yourself. Okay, so right leg lifts. Inhale, exhale, lunge. Inhale, crescent, rise up. Exhale, vertical twist. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, vinyasa. Make your way to down dog, however you're doing that. Good. Now left side, left leg lifts. Inhale. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, vertical twist to the left. Open up. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Now inhale, reach forward. Exhale, extend. Inhale, reverse warrior. And then exhale, hands to the floor. Come on down. Meet in your down dog and then come on down. Okay. Do you prefer one over the other, or are they both just nice? Do you have doing the reverse twice, doing reverse warrior twice? Mhm.
Yeah, the reach forward and then extended,
Mhm.
it's almost like, but I want to keep moving instead of just reach forward and then.
I guess I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay, so in the one where there's only one reverse warrior,
Mhm.
it was inhale, rise up,
Right. No, I
Number
get
two.
that, but I just don't get what you mean to keep moving.
exhale, reach forward. That almost, it's,
Because in the other flow, we go from reverse
Reverse.
warrior straight.
And your arms
you
are
don't actually reach
moving as
forward.
opposed.
Mhm.
You keep that.
Yeah.
You pause.
Oh,
without the
yeah,
double
you
Yeah,
reach.
to
warrior.
reach
Mhm.
forward and then extend at side angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
Mhm.
movement action.
So both are okay. Both are fine to do. Both are great options to just change things up a little bit. And it's what I will say is that regardless of what you pick, that you're just linking the breath and movement. So you got to make sure that the breath makes sense. Yes, Will.
I've done that flow in the past before, and I struggle with going from the side twist
Mhm.
back into warrior two. So going back.
Oh,
to
like if you were to
side twist, back
wiggle it-
crescent,
Uh-huh.
and then back to warrior two because of foot placement.
Mhm.
So in my crescent lunge, my feet are wide. In warrior two, my feet are in a line. So my warrior two is different when I go through that sunbeam flow because
Mhm.
normally I keep my front heel with the arch of
Yeah.
my back foot.
So you just
So
have to
when-
adjust it. That's the thing is, and so when I typically break that down, I give that key to like adjust the back foot. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Yeah, because you do have to move it a little bit for sure. Mhm.
My feet have to stay heel.
No. Your feet can move. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So come up to crescent. We'll give it a try. Come on up. I'm gonna turn. So y'all can see. So come up to crescent. So we'll just go, so from here, we'll go inhale crescent and now warrior two. Just go to warrior two. Exhale. So see how you adjust? You can, yeah. And you,
But still, I usually over here, so then just maybe
Yeah.
pick it up.
yep, you just
as
kind of
opposed
pick it
to
up.
just pivot it
Mhm.
down.
Yeah. And that's going to be different for everybody. So typically, like when you then break it down from like that crescent to warrior two, so then you're having people check in to see like, how are your feet? What did your feet do? And so you can address that if you see people doing kind of like a weird warrior two, if they need to adjust their feet, then you can talk about that. I think naturally a lot of us just adjust our feet as we need to. So you can pick up your foot. That's totally fine. Yeah. Mhm. Good observation though. Great notice. Yes. Why would we do that, Sun B? Why would that be one we would want to do? Either of those variations. Doesn't matter. They're both kind of the same. So,
It makes me think of when Bryce earlier was saying, you can take this out and put this in, but to still have that twist.
mhm,
You're bringing twist and crescent into Sun B, and it gives you space later on
mhm,
to bring in something else.
Yep.
That you want to focus more on.
uh-huh, yep, mhm,
One time when we were theming side crow,
uh-huh,
she did that because she wanted to get as many twists in as
Yep.
possible, so that adds another twist. to your
yep.
side
That adds
crow.
another twist of knowing that side crow. So this is where it's like, oftentimes my Sun Bs, I usually try to keep them simple, but if I am doing something different, it's for a reason, for something later. Because this is where you start to mimic, you start to like think like, okay, I'm gonna do something different later on. And so this shape is gonna help for later on in the class. Mhm. Yeah. So what poses could this be preparatory for? So side crow is one. What else? Really? I don't know any other yoga pose.
Any other-
What? Revolved half moon. Yes, revolved half moon. Absolutely. Mhm. Yep. Mhm. Anything else? Yeah, dancer. Yeah. Uh-huh. What else?
Something revolved, just kind of theme the class.
Mhm.
revolve.
Revolved triangle, right? You could do that. Anything revolved. Mhm. Anything else come to mind? Reverse dancer. That could also be an option. Yeah. Any twist, really like looking at, getting through that mid spine and twist. It can be a nice way to weave that in there. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, are we clear on what we did? Okay, so if you want to pause and write it down, what they were, because if you're like, I don't remember what we did, I'll break it down for you. So it was crescent lunge, and then vertical twist, back to crescent, and then warrior two. And then one option was to go inhale, reach out, and then exhale, extended side angle. And then reverse warrior. And then vinyasa. Or once you got to warrior two, you could do reverse warrior, exhale, extended side angle, reverse warrior again, and then vinyasa. Yeah, right, extended side angle sandwich, yes. Toasted on a reverse warrior bread bun. Yes. Yes.
This is more of a comment. I really enjoy this sequence when you sneak triangle in.
Mhm.
So you maybe go, as you go in that first reverse warrior, you straighten the front and do a reverse triangle, then bend it back into reverse warrior. before you go down.
Yep,
Just a
heading
comment.
triangles, yep. Yeah, I did, well, you two were in class on Wednesday when I did that Sun B, and then I did the one where we did reverse twice. But actually we did it a bunch of times. We went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then through the third round, then I added triangle. So we wrapped it all up with triangle.
Okay, sure. I just like, yeah, I like that addition of
Mhm. Yep. What I will say, just if you are adding triangle into your Sun B, this is for me personally, and just take it how it feels for you. But when you add it, give it a full breath cycle. Like stay a full inhale and exhale before you move on, because triangle is one of those that just takes a moment to get into it. So at least, because like sometimes I'll see where it'll just be like revert, they just go right into triangle and then they skip right on. And there's something about that pose that I feel like needs a full inhale and exhale. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so let's practice any of those, or you can just be like, no, thank you. I'm gonna do warrior two, extended reverse, because that is where my brain is. And that is what I need to focus on, then that's great. But if you wanna try any of those, that warrior one variation, or any of those two. So you have four your Cambio sequence, the warrior one, or either of those two. You're welcome to give those a try and just see how it goes with doing. You don't have to get like, just flow it, just practice flowing it. Okay, don't worry about breaking down each little bit, but just practice the flow of it with each other. Okay, sound good? So same at home. Do the same. We'll do 10 minutes again, and I'm gonna change up your partners here at home. And was that enough time last time? Did you all have enough time? Does that feel with 10 minutes? Okay, great. All right, so we'll go 10 minutes. Okay, how did it go at home? How was that? Feel okay? Yeah, okay. How'd it go in here? Doing okay? Okay, so we'll do one more thing and then we'll take a break. Okay, so you'll get a break to do what you need to. So we talked about this on Thursday night, and I said to put a pin in it, and I remembered to do a mandala flow. So just so this is, if you are already feeling a little overwhelmed by new things, just be a student, and that's all you gotta do. Don't even think, don't try to figure it out. That's all I'm gonna say to that, okay? So mandala flows, if you've never done one before, is when you're doing a full circle around your mat, like a 360 all the way around, 365 all the way around, okay? So 360, what is it,
360.
360. I was like, wait, and I just felt, when you not doubt yourself, you're like, wait, is that wrong? Like, okay. So it's basically you're doing the same side twice. You're doing it 2 times in a row. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a very easy, like the easiest, I think the easiest version of a mandala. Okay, so, and you can obviously go wild with this and make it harder for yourself if you want to later, but I'm gonna give you the simple, straightforward one with it. Okay, so downward facing dog, come on into it. All right, right leg lifts. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, warrior 2, and we're gonna go right into the flow. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Exhale, goddess, sit down. Inhale, star. To your left, warrior 2, exhale. Inhale, reverse warrior. And then exhale, vinyasa, hands to the mat or step to down dog, your choice. Okay, now, so since it's the repeater, what leg leads? Yes, right leg lifts. Exhale, lunge. What comes next? Warrior 2, then what? Extended side angle. 5-pointed star. Goddess. Inhale, star again. To your left, warrior 2. Good, inhale, reverse. Exhale, vinyasa. You'll meet in your down dog. And then give them a couple breaths. I always, since we flow it twice, give a couple breaths and then inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, extend. Inhale, star, rise up. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, star. To the right, exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, flow. Okay, say it out loud if you can remember. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, extend. Inhale, star. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, star. To the right, exhale, warrior 2. Good. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, vinyasa. That was the best.
What did he do? I meant to.
He just goes, oh. All right, come on down. Okay, so that's a mandala. All right, that's the full. How'd you like that one? Usually people like those. Okay, but here's the deal. Now, if you were going to teach it, what we didn't do that you would need to do is that first time you step your right foot forward is you're holding. So you hold warrior 2, the 3 to 5 breaths, you hold extended side angle, you come up to star, you come down into goddess, and you can hold that a few breaths, do some things, all of those you hold, and then you immediately flow the right side. Then when you step your left foot forward that first time, you hold, and then when you flow the left side immediately, and then you've got to do it all over again. So then there's more. So then you got to so this is it takes more time when you do this than a typical Sun B. So just know this is going to take more time. So does that make sense? So that the first time you do it, that right foot comes forward, you're holding just like you would do the normal, like you would do your first round, but then you immediately flow that side again. Then you do left side, you hold, immediately flow the left side, then you're in down dog, and then you flow right side twice and flow left side twice, back to back. Okay, does that make sense? We're good? Yeah, okay. You like mandalas? Yes, Kayla, for sure. So those are ones you can always make, you can add on. There's a lot of other ways. There are plenty of things you can do, but I do not want to overcomplicate it because it does. I will say this, that when you're teaching, it can get sometimes when they're at star, you're like, oh, we going back to the front or are we going to the back? If you're not paying, you really have to pay attention when you're teaching. Yes, yes, Maria.
So is it only?
Mhm.
Is it only that for 360?
Yes. Yep, you're going all the way around. So that,
What is it called? when facing it back?
nothing. I mean, there's no name. A half, you're just not going all the, yeah. Which you can do it that way too, where you just don't go all the way around. Mhm, mhm. But yeah, you can always, face the back. Yep, those are always options, but they are fun to do that full roundy. So I would just make sure that like where you put yourself as a teacher, it helps you to keep track of where you're going. So the trick is, and I don't know if anyone has told you this, but if you are getting confused with your lefts and your rights with teaching, stand behind someone. Because if you're facing them and like Megan right here, like if I'm teaching this direction and I'm like saying right foot forward, to me, it's still kind of like left in my mind. And that can get like really confusing for you as a teacher. So it's get behind one person and like watch them. And that can help you if it starts to get really complicated for your brain to figure out the rights and lefts. Okay. Okay. All right. So do we have, yes, right, Bryce.
Opinions on ladder flows. I know that maybe is more of like a power vinyasa thing.
Ladder flows. Those are fun, but I would not do that to you right now.
That's cool. It's where you start with like 1 or 2 poses in the flow, and so you do the flow, and then each time you do the flow, you add a pose,
Oh,
and then
You're just adding.
and then come back down.
But don't. I feel like that makes everyone's
Yeah,
brains.
Mac used to do this.
Yeah,
like,
Anna
every
did those a
couple
lot.
weeks. They were
Yeah. Yeah, so don't feel but there are lots of options, right? There's so many different ways you can play with the Sun B. I would say regardless of what you do though, please just keep it simple. Like I cannot stress that enough. That it's just like, because remember what the purpose of the Sun B is, and it's like we want to warm up the body. We want to help keep clearing things out of the way, so really letting that be our purpose for what we're picking a Mandala Flow or any of our Sun Bs. Okay. With that being said, let's take a break. Okay. Give you all a little break. So 15, is that enough? We took 15 for you to like eat or whatever. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about, just so you know, we'll talk next about additional poses that kind of help us prep the body. Like poses are little sequences, those sort of fun things that like Skandasana, like all that, like how do we weave that into the practice? What do those things start to look like? And then we're going to build some sequences as a group and individually. We'll kind of play around with that a little bit. Okay. And then we'll be done. We're just like boom, 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 going through the day. Okay. So let's come back at 11:20. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, actually, back on for real now. We're for real back on. Okay. All right. So now I want us to, let's take a minute. We're going to do the transition game again, that fun little thing. Remember that we did on Thursday night, the little like one pose to another sort of thing. Okay. So let me think. We're going to write these down. Let me think, which way do I want it to go? Let's go eagle, crescent lunge, and boat. Okay. All right, so you just need, we're just gonna do that one. So the game, remember, it goes as such. You don't need to like cue them in and out, just say what pose comes next, right? So know that you might be linking a few poses to get to them. Whatever that might be for your doing. So you don't have to be like, step your foot here and do this and blah, 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 like all that. Just say step, Utkatasana, whatever you're saying with that, okay? All right, so we'll do breakout room. So we'll take, what was it, 6 minutes? I think that's what we did last time. Wait, someone's gone. Wait a minute. Hang on. That's weird. Hang on. No, Lauren, you're gone somehow. Why are you not in here? Let's see, let me try to recreate here. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we'll take 6 minutes. So we're doing eagle, crescent, bow. That's where we're going, okay? All right, and go. Well, so many questions.
There's number.
Okay, friends, how'd it go at home? How'd it feel? Did we work something out? Okay, we'll start online with y'all and have you all say what you did. So we'll start in eagle. So start in eagle, everybody. And which group would like to go first? Teaching. Kayla, I see Kayla's hand go up. Okay, good.
Okay.
So from here, I'll turn so you can see someone. Here,
Oh.
you'll see that.
Yeah. Okay, so we did eagle, rooting down into the standing leg for one leg Tadasana. So arms come up reaching overhead. Then step that foot back to crescent lunge. And then bring the hands to the floor for low lunge or high lunge or lunge, I guess. And then step the foot back and move through your vinyasa. And then from upward facing dog, come down to the knees and swing the legs around and set up for boat.
Perfect. Great. Yeah. Very nice. Nicely done. Did anybody else do that exact same thing? This group did? Yeah, pretty much.
We had a couple, and
You had
that
a
was the one that,
That was the one you landed on? Yeah.
no, we picked hers. but-
Okay. Did anybody else at home do that one? No, you had something different. Okay. Let's pick a group in studio. Okay, great. They'll go and then we'll just go back and forth between Zoom land and in studio. Okay, come back to Utkatasana, do it on a different leg. Or come to your eagle, sorry, come to your eagle.
So you go from eagle to Utkatasana. Forward fold. Step back to a low lunge. Rise up to crescent. Open up to warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down and go through your half series. Once you're in downward facing dog, you take a rest, whatever, and then come down to your knees, look around, set up for bow.
Nice, great. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Love it. Nice. Perfect. Okay, now a group at home. Which group wants to go next?
We can go.
Okay, Kelsey's gonna go.
Okay, hopefully people are warmed up because ours is not the most beginner friendly.
Okay.
Okay, so starting in eagle. This is gonna be hard. Okay, so if you're right, I'm just gonna cue it as if your right leg is lifted in eagle. Right leg steps back for crescent lunge. Drop the back knee, crescent moon. And I forget what this pose is called, but I think it's called halfway splits.
Are they doing it?
Yes.
Yes, you're correct. Half splits. Yep.
Okay, and then just come on down to your butt, scoop the legs out in front of you and move straight into boat.
Oh, fancy. There we go. Yeah.
And then
Totally.
we said, if that was too challenging, like a modification, instead of transitioning from crescent moon to halfway split would be come to standing at your knees and then just lower to your butt.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that totally works. I would say the only thing, Kelsey, with that is the eagle to crescent is just sometimes having that like single leg Tadasana is nice because it lets them know what to do with the arms, because you can keep the arms in eagle arms. So just being really clear that everything's unwinding and opening. But yes, that was great. That was a really clever doing that half splits in there. That was nice. Okay. Do you guys want to go? Okay, perfect. All right. All right, back up. Stand it on up, everybody.
So eagle. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step your right foot back to lunge. Sorry. Inhale, rise up to crescent. Exhale, hands to mat. Take it through your half series. Meet me in downward facing dog. And then drop down to your knees. Sway your legs extended in front of your face for a boat pose.
Perfect. Yeah, great. Nice. Very good. Straight, easy peasy. All right. Okay, our last group at home.
So Monica and I were a little confused about what we were supposed to do. So we just kind of ran through like the Crescent series and like, I guess where we thought you would add in like the boat and whatnot and the eagle and everything. So
Yeah, we got super confused and then we ran out of time and I was like, okay. As soon as we started doing this, I was like, oh, this is what we did Thursday. And I was, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, then we'll just move on to the friends in studio then. So we'll have y'all last group.
So come into eagle on whichever side you prefer. Inhale, come forward into nesting eagle. Elbows come towards your knee. Exhale, legs sweeps back, flying eagle. Option to bring the hands forward into warrior 3 or stay in your flying eagle. Step the foot back into crescent lunge. And then inhale, step the back foot forward for chair. Exhale, forward fold. And then yogi squat. And roll back, either rocking back and forth and coming up into boat, or just roll straight back into boat.
Nice.
Squat.
There we go.
So I just said unlock the arms.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cool. Yay. So fun. Loved all the creativity in there. So many different options. Isn't that game fun to just start to think of like, it, you know, because like you all came up with different ways to like get to the different poses. So it's like you're starting to, I think it's like clicking, right? You're getting that like, these aren't just arbitrarily random poses like in the sequence, that like we can come to Tadasana, we can come to Utkatasana, we can find a forward fold, you know, we can add those little poses here and there to transition. So yes, snaps around the room. Yes, Will.
What will you tell us what you think your most creative way to get to your butt is?
Yeah.
Because there's only like, I'm like, you can sit back to your butt or you can swing your legs around from coming down to your knees. I've seen them go from pigeon before, where you just
Swivel
sit
around.
to your hip and
Yep.
swing your legs around. But I'm like, what else is there? Somersault?
Yeah, you can somersault. So from like the top of your mat, or is that what you're saying?
Anywhere, what's
Jump through, Will.
I mean, jump throughs. You can, well, come on here, come on up, Utkatasana. Okay, bring your, come up, single leg Tadasana. I don't care which leg, your choice. Come up, airplane pose. Single leg Tadasana again. Now extend that leg out. Bring your hands to heart center. Start to bend your bottom leg and sit it all the way down to take a little pistol squat all the way down. Yeah.
It's easier when you hold your toe.
Yeah. It is. It is easier to hold your toe. Yeah. Here, we'll show you. This is what's happening.
It's actually not too bad.
It's not too bad, for real. It's not.
Hold your toe, it's facing different.
Then come back up. Then stand back up.
I cannot do that. I can't get back up.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
And it'll be different on each
So that, right.
What is standing?
Oh, girl, standing. So use your hand, use your left hand, and this is major glutes. It is
You
big
can
time.
use your hand, okay.
Yeah, use your hand. You can use your hand to push and come back up. And grunting, lots of grunting.
Yeah.
Lots of grunting. I mean, to seat it, like there's,
I think you have to keep your foot way back towards your glute too, so that your center of gravity doesn't shift too far back, because if you're too far back, you can't.
Sandasana helps with that.
mhm, yeah. I
because
mean,
then-
we have not prepped you for that at
Yeah.
all, so there's been no prep for that. But yeah, that's one way.
Idle.
I mean, sometimes just like, I don't know, I try not to overcomplicate it personally when I'm teaching. So like a squat or malasana and roll back, those can, you know, sometimes I'll just say, come to seated. I don't care. Like, I just don't want to, it's like, it just gets too wordy and it's like, what's again, why? What's my why?
Yeah.
You know, like
You're wise to sit down.
you're wise to just sit, please. Please sit it down. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So next up we have, I want to talk a little bit about going through. So we're going to talk about the poses or like little things that will help prep the body. Okay. So a list. So I've got a little list here of things that I'll share with you. This is not all of the things. Okay. These are not all of them. There are, I mean, thousands of different things and people are coming up with new things all the time. So thinking up, and I'm going to try to go in order-ish of like when in class this can happen, but a lot of these can go in many different places. So one of the common ones you'll see, and this got brought up earlier, they're called the bird dog variations. Yes, so just so you know, so these are, let me turn. So this is like when we're in tabletop, we're here and we're doing like these sort of things. So this is where it could be a simple, just alternating. This could be alternate knee to nose. This could be reach back, bend the knee, right? This could be extend back, push through the heel. One of my favorites to do is this one. You lift a leg, knee to nose, extend, do a push up, come up, kind of play around. So there's an infinite, there's more. You can side plank it, right? You can start going side plank, side to side. So lots of bird dog variations.
I know gate pose is separate, but tying that in as far as opening things up like that, or is that just do that separate?
I mean, you can put it there. Gate can go early or it can go later. Gate can go really anywhere in the class. Really just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're building up to gate and using it as part of your peak.
It could be like gate pose and then,
That TikTok back and forth.
and then even towards half move.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, it can definitely be a prep. So gate coming into, if you don't want to come into gate, so you're in gate. This is a common one. This is like one of my favorites. You come back and forth, and then you hold, then you bend the knee, take it back bend, you come out, and you can sit it back into it like a one-legged child's pose, or you can swivel and come into a Janushirasana. Right? So fun. So many. I like
If you're doing a bunch of like super intense core work in your sequencing, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but like you can then not do like a separate sit down, let's do 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah, so like I oftentimes don't teach core per se, like where you think it goes. I will do little things of core throughout the class. You know, so that could be like in your down dog, this one, where we're here in down dog and you're doing a lot of these, right? Going across the body, right? Doing a lot of those sneaking those and doing stuff like that. Sneaking in side planks throughout class. And that right there, what I just did, either doing side planks or like those knee to noses, that is what can take your class from a vinyasa class to a power class. Because what's the difference between a power and a vinyasa class?
Level of energy.
repeated movements, like is that? I don't
Kind
know, so
of,
I'm guessing.
it could be. I mean, it's really the energy. It's really like that intensity level has gone up. So you could technically, with the Cambio sequence, you still teach it, but maybe you hold things longer. And that's going to turn it into a power class. You're just holding things an extra beat longer, or you throw in some more planks or side planks. Like you just in between, like after you finish sun A, instead of resting in down dog, if you rest, you come forward, hold plank 5 breaths, then move back, then do sun B, then come back to plank again. Like you're just constantly coming back to like a high plank. And that right there can take it from vinyasa to power. That's it. It doesn't have to, it can be more arm balances or something more complicated. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's just looking at that energy that we're bringing to it. Maybe more core. It could be something of just adding a little bit more core or something like that. But it's not like in a set box. I would just say the energy is definitely up and there's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got our bird dogs, right? So those little variations. Let me see, what else do I have here? You also have like standing at the beginning of class, your extended mountain pose, and doing half moon, the standing half moons, right? Those right there where we do the side to side and then maybe you do a back bend. That can be something that you weave into your sequence if you want to add that in. There it is. You can wrist stretches, right? If you're going to do some arm balances, add some wrist stretches in your tabletop in the beginning of the class. So doing some different kind of wrist stretches. We did talk about that, the crescent moon and half splits, like those could be something you just weave into, right? Crescent moon and a half split sort of thing. That's something to, if you want to sneak that in somewhere in between a series or make it part of a series. One of my favorites is the low lunge twist. So where you can do like pretend, so where you could easily sneak this into the Cambio sequence so that it wouldn't feel too overwhelming is 2 places that are really easy. In between your sun A and sun B, you are just in down dog and then you step forward and find a low lunge twist right here and then press it right back to down dog. Or say you're doing your sun B and you know how you surf it out a little bit, surfing here, then you could do this and then come up to your warrior 2. And then you just don't teach that twist again. You just skip that for the actual flow. So that's a nice one that you can leave in there. Just that little low lunge twist. Let's see. We've done this, the single legged halfway lift. We've already done that one, right? That's one you can leave in. Also single leg Tadasana, which some of you were doing today already, right? From that eagle, you went to eagle to single leg Tadasana. What else? Oh, one of my favorites, Malasana. Okay. I love Malasana, maybe. Threading the needle, right? Threading the needle in your tabletop. So you're coming through both sides here, threading the needle. Gate pose, we talked about that. In your standing wide-legged forward fold, your Prasarita, right? We're here, and you can do a twist a couple of ways. You can do this twist where you kind of thread the needle with the hand, or you can do here and then here for each side. You can work a little twist, just weave that in if you want to. So that's all you're doing is adding a little twist. Skandasana, yes, but it's okay if you're someone who hates Skandasana. There's always one. That's all right. You don't have to like Skandasana. So with Skandasana, just to show you all, I do want to show you with Skandasana because not everybody does like this pose. So I often, so if you're not sure, this is Skandasana when we're here, when we're shifting side to side with it. So if someone doesn't, or if they look like they're struggling, I always like to show this one. like the coming up higher. So working it, so it's just more of this more upright side lunge, side to side, and you can still get the benefits from it. Mandala flows, we talked about that. Oh, and figure 4. So figure 4 can be done either seated. So the hands are back here, crossing the ankle over, flexing the feet, right, working it this way. Or you can do it from Utkatasana. So you can be in Utkatasana and then come into it, either staying upright, down, like playing around with it, or however that works for you.
Would you do it supine and then come back into something, or is it kind of like once you lay on your back? I mean, I know core is early on, but
What, do you mean like at the end of class, or?
is there like supine figure 4 stretch? Should it be in a certain area of the sequence, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter, you can do it early. So I will sometimes even start the class, like if you start it in Shavasana, like I start it like this, where we do these,
Yeah.
do these little guys, rocking side to side. And then you can do one early, because this is fine early on. Most people, this is pretty accessible to do side to side. Yes, Will.
I've also, you might necessarily use that instead of picture.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great.
It's a good option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I often, when I teach beginners, like, or any like corporate kind of class, I never teach pigeon. I always do it either seated or on their back. I don't even give that as an option, because I mean, it's just, and especially if you don't have props, and just like what you'll see happen with people's bodies, I'm like, oh, I just get nervous that they're gonna get hurt. So I modify that one all the time. Definitely. What I will say, so let's pretend that you were going to, so we just did that eagle thing. So let's pretend that you were going to mash up your eagle and your crescent lunge series in the Cameo sequence. Okay, can we think about that for a second? So we're going to mix those two together. We'll start in eagle. So yeah, let's stand up. Which leg goes on top? So now if we unwind to single leg Tadasana, what leg, and now step back to crescent lunge, what leg have you put left forward? Is that how you teach the sequence?
Crescent, we step right.
Yeah, so crescent, you step right first. So that means, what would we want to do?
Left first.
Left leg on top first. And then single leg Tadasana. And then step back, crescent lunge. Okay, then hands to heart center, and then revolve. Yeah, do you get that? What, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I say that because I've seen that when I'll go to classes and someone starts to like branch out in their sequence, and then they do that, they're like, okay, they'll do like eagle to airplane, but then they've done it with the left leg as the base first, and then you see the panic on their face of like, oh no, I'm starting with my left leg first, which is not like the end of the world. But if you're keeping it consistent with everything else in class where we're starting with the right side, it just makes sense. Yeah, Will.
I was just gonna, is it because we want to twist to the right first?
Yeah, ideally. Yeah, we want to twist to the right first. Now, if you end up twisting to the left at some point first, it's not the end of the world. No one, your digestion won't stop. I mean, maybe for some, I think some other things are gonna really affect your digestion, but like, one time twisting to the left first isn't gonna make or break your student's digestion. So don't panic with that, but I would just say if you are like, try to keep it consistent with that. When you start to get into the balancing, that like, if you're gonna do like an airplane or something and right into crescent, that your right foot is the base first.
You could just, yeah, you can think of it's grounding because it's gonna stay.
Yep, it's not moving. Yep, it stays put. Yeah, cool. Well, okay, let's see. Is there anything else? Any other little like things that you can think of that happen in class? Like any other little movements or things you've done recently? You're like, what? No, I mean, all the time.
I always like wild things.
Wild
when you're
things.
Not before you go into pigeon. So
Uh-huh.
like instead of just bending your knee,
Mhm.
kicking back, taking
Yep.
it all the way, because that really.
Mhm.
And that option.
Yep, wild thing.
The stacked hips and knees, or go into a wild thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Energetically, is it fine to do it after pigeon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Because you can step back a bit
Yeah.
from pigeon and then take it all the way, when you're instead of just shaking it out.
Yeah, you can go into it. That's usually where I offer it is after half.
I just was thinking if you're like, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Then you've got another heart opener.
Because then it's like, then you get that back then, and it just depends on the effort, because that is gonna be different for every person. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So like in our series, I've been thinking like eagle, my right side of the body is gonna do the stuff first. So I've been grounding down into my left foot so that, but is it opposite that I need to be grounding down into my right foot and letting eagle happen on that side, switching?
I mean, I think of it as the leg that's doing the work. So that bottom leg is the one that's getting the work. Because then if you start to do, if you add and link on something from there, that standing leg is still going to be the one that's doing all the work. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. But I mean, the whole body, yes, is working and it doesn't matter. But once you start linking, then it does start to matter. That's where we really want to be careful with balancing. Is like I wouldn't link more than like 2 to 3 poses together. Just, you know, we talked about this on Thursday for the safety of the hip for people and that standing leg. We don't want them burning it out and we don't want them to get hurt. So of course you can do longer balancing sequences and some of you are really strong and you personally can, well then do those for yourself. And then, you know, depending on your class and everything, you know, staying mindful of that to really keep them safe. Any other questions? Poses that you like, little warm ups. Well, maybe some will come. I mean, even just sitting, doing side bends, right? These are really nice to do, or like seated twist, like weaving those in. Those little things are just kind of fun to start to sneak in. What I will say is that when in doubt, if you don't know what the breath is, don't say it. You will get it wrong. You do not have a 50-50. It seems like you would have a 50-50. You won't. You'll get it wrong. It's just, if you don't know, if you're just like, I think it's an exhale, just don't say the breath, just say the pose, okay? It's one of those things that like, I don't know why, but it's just like the universe is not on your side with that one. I don't know, it just is like, because it just happens that way. But to keep in mind that anytime that you inhale, think of it as like you're extending or you're reaching. That's kind of like, that's happening, right? That's where you look. And every time you exhale, you're kind of compressing, you're folding, or you're sinking in. So that can sometimes be like the cue, like that visual that might help you remember with the breath. But really, when in doubt, just say breathe and then don't worry about it, okay? Okay, so now what we'll do next, this next part, so now we're gonna build some sequences. So now we've been kind of talking about all these little pieces and now we're gonna put it together, okay? All right, so I'm gonna move this over, so the whiteboard for real. Turn, sorry, hope I didn't make you all dizzy at home with that. too dizzy. So this is basically like that sheet in your handout that has, let me open it up here just so friends at home, you can see this, where it's build your, this is on either one of the two documents, has it, there's sections there for it. Let me just share here with the group at home so you can see. So this sort of thing, this is what I'm basically going to have written up here on the board is this little guy here is this integration Sunny to surrender. So on that form on there, we have like what our peak pose would be, then the counter sequence. And then if you want, there's the bullets below that give you like, what are the benefits, the prep poses, like however you organize it in your brain is totally fine. This is just like one option to give you all to kind of see like what works for you. Okay. So I'm going to pick the pose. I'm going to pick a couple poses and then we'll kind of play from there. So our peak pose that we'll do here is going to be dancer, Natarajasana. Okay. Dancer pose. So that's our peak. Okay. So I'm just writing that down here. So now this is when we start to sequence is where you start to look at this. You start like, okay, where do I want it to go? And then you work backwards from there. Okay. So we're going to use the Cambio sequence as like our skeleton, right? This is our template. So we're still sticking with this. So now when you go to create a class, it's not like you're going, where do I start? Nope. You're going to start with integration. This is still going to like, this is all going to stay. The structure is still the same. This is not, you're not having to like reinvent a whole sequence. Okay. So pressure off, like we did tree the other day. Remember, we just did tree and that was it. That's all we did. Okay. So now we're going to add a little bit. So technically, I'm just going to say, technically you could, well, where are we going to put dancer? Let's start there. Balances, right? So yes, pretty obvious. So we've got our dancer. So what you could, this could be just like you did with tree. You could, there is enough prep technically that you'd be fine, that you could do dancer on your own. Like you could just do dancer instead of eagle, or you could do eagle and dancer if you wanted to, right? That's totally fine. If you wanted to add a little bit more, but let's just pretend that we want to like, that we've got people in class that would appreciate a little bit of prep and a little bit more warm up in order to build up to that pose. Okay. So with that being said, so what would be some of the preparatory movements and things that we could potentially do that would happen before we get to dancer? Yes. Or yes, whoever wants to go.
The bird dog.
The bird dog.
variation in tabletop.
Yep. So that bird dog little back bend thing. Yep. Because what does that do? That mimics the shape. Right? Yes. Well, and then Megan?
Half split.
A half split. So like, tell me more. What do you mean?
Was it one of our flows? Or was that in Sunday?
That was that Sunday or that little mini transitional thing.
So adding the half split.
Okay.
Just so that you're one.
Yeah. So we could do that little like, it was crescent moon, half splits, single leg, halfway lift, that little guy, right? So that little, so I would say, we could put that right here. So this would come in between. So we'll just say that little mini, I don't know, what should we call it? I feel like I should name this thing.
Sunday and a half.
I'm gonna call Sun A plus.
Okay, on A plus. So we'll put that there. So that's it. So you would do your normal Sun A, then you would do that right side and left side. And then you move into your Sun B. Let's see. And quite honestly, that could be enough. There's one other spot you could do something else that would be a simple add-on to the sequence already. Yeah.
I would add a back bending crescent.
Oh, you could. Something else though that's a little bit closer to the shape.
I don't think this is closer to the shape.
Oh, well, go ahead. What?
I'll just shoot for it. Either in crescent or doing their lunges or sun be giving them the open twists for shoulders?
Oh, like a low lunge twist, like that. You could, not quite the shape, but I think, Bryce, did you have your?
I was basically gonna say use that second sunbeam that we talked about earlier that has the crescent and the open bird.
Wheel? Or do your shoulders, do you need to focus more on shoulders in order to build up to wheel?
Yeah, I would do
More.
more prep for that for
Okay.
most people. Mhm.
You're looking at some sort of Tadasana.
Nope, we are not. We are down on the floor.
Bridge.
No, closer.
Is it the purpose for opening the front of the leg?
Yes, and it's a couple, you get a lot gets happened here.
Would you-
What did you say? Yes, and what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say floor bow.
No, not yet. So Mariah had it with lizard lunge. This is where you add that you reach back for the foot, grab hold of the foot because you're getting, this is happening, right? You're opening through the shoulder, the chest is getting stretched. You're kicking your foot into your hand. So you're getting that quad stretch. So it really mimics the shape a lot. I mean, it is crossbody, so it's not exact. So it's not, you're not reaching for the same foot, but it's making it a little bit more accessible so that when you do get it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The one you showed us before of like gate side plank and then you reach back and grab the leg.
Yes. I'm just gonna put lizard lunge. This and back then. So, okay. So you could, any of those things could be added. Perfect. Awesome. There you go. There you go. Better. Yes. Take control of your. So we've got that. Okay. So now we've built up. So we're doing a little bird dog with a little back bend, right? Doing that, finding that little shape. Then we're going to do that little mini Sunday plus or whatever you want to call that. And then everything else is the same. And then when you get to crescent and you do lizard lunge, then you give that option to take that little twist. Then when we get here, how are we going to come into dancer? How does this look? So we've just done side plank on both sides, and then we're in down dog. And then how do we get to dancer?
Never mind.
Hands forward, feet to the front of the mat. Tadasana, arm drops down to the hip, reach back.
Yes. Yep. We start in Tadasana. We start in extended mountain pose, and then we come into it. Yes. How do we then neutralize? Well, yeah.
First, just standing.
Just stand, mountain Tadasana, right? Yep. So then Tadasana will be our neutralizer, and then you're going to move into a forward fold anyway. So that will be like that's going to be a nice counter stretch then. So I would do dancer on the right side and then, or whatever side do it, and then immediately do the other side and then do your forward fold. And then you could do crow if you have time. So that could be, depending on the time that it took to get to this point, this is where you could have a moment where you have to assess and you're like, wow, that was a lot of energy and effort for the class. They seem a little tired. I'm going to skip crow. And you're like, okay, cutting crow. And so now we're just moving on. And then everything else will be the same till the remainder of class. Because at what time point do we want to be getting down on the floor? 45. Yes, 45. So that's always going to be a good gauge because triangle pose takes about how long to do both sides? Between, I would say around 5 to 7 minutes, approximately, depending on what you're doing. So, so just remembering like, how am I doing on time so that you adapt as you need to. Okay. Okay. Well, there's a sequence for you.
Hey, now we have 3.
You have so many now. Okay. Go into the world and shine, you yogi. Okay, we're gonna do another one. Okay, can I erase? Okay, from here, let's do, let me just see, do I want to do that one? Could be very similar, actually. Sorry, I'm talking out loud, just talking to myself, it's fine. How about, well, think of the stuff you went over with Kristen. Is there a pose? I'll let you pick. I don't have to do this one. 'Cause is there anyone you want to?
Half moon is always, there's so much to that one.
I love this pose. Half moon. Does everybody know what half moon is? Do you remember? Yes? Yes. Okay, Ardha Chandrasana. Okay, now this pose can go in a lot of places. What is this pose?
Balancing.
It's balancing. There's a lot of balancing. So what? And a hip opener. What else? What's got to be like warmed and ready? Hamstrings, right? Hips. And
Your
core.
core too, because it holds, if that top leg is raised, like you're
Yep.
holding.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. So this one can go, where do you want to put it? And then I'll,
Triangle.
you want to put it here? Okay.
That's my suggestion.
Okay. We can definitely do it here. Okay, so with that being said, let's go backwards and this is kind of funny. If we put it here, you know what we have to do to prep for it? Absolutely nothing, because this cameo sequence does all the things to honestly, like truly, you don't really have to do, like at this point, if you add it to the end of your triangle, you've done enough prep work to get to it. So, but let's talk about how we're gonna get into it, okay? Because that's the thing, how we're getting into it and how we get back out of it, okay? So yeah, if you need to stand up and do it, remember, feel it. This is where we don't want to intellectualize it. Like, how do we feel it?
Go to the triangle.
So you're in triangle, and then what?
You need to go into triangle for it, or just does it replace triangle?
No, it does not replace
Does not.
triangle.
Okay.
Don't replace, keep triangle. Yep, so you could come up to a warrior two, and then you could launch. You could stay in triangle, and from triangle, come right into it as well. Then you put a little bit of bend in your knee and then come forward.
You had to really lift that weird, like, mirror foot up to get it to turn over.
Yeah, so you've got options.
It's a lot of movement.
But you didn't ever want to land in triangle. You wanna
No.
land in warrior two.
Yeah, so then the release is warrior two. Yes, so from half moon. What and why? Yeah, that Megan, that's great. That's a good point, that you don't land in triangle, and why? Yeah, you don't want to land in a locked out, hopefully your leg's not locked out, but. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so.
Yeah, 'cause that's a nice change to the hip.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really, quite honestly, if you could do it right there. And then, so if you were like worried about time, because if you're like, oh, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time, so now we need to think of, what are we gonna cut then?
So when you come back up to star and then forward fold, normally we would do this, but can we just do that?
You can, but I will say this, I would probably have props in the room so that you would need to at least have two, but let's just pretend like you're not doing that. I want you to cut something from here, from earlier in class.
I mean, you could do
What? You could cut core if you're doing other things. No, Randy, no. What have I said about sun A's and sun B's?
You could cut the half series out between triangle, so then.
You
the-
could, but
the
let's not
triangle-
do that. Let's not cut the half.
Wouldn't do crow.
Maybe, but yes, eagle, because this is now your balance.
Eventually we'll get there. We'll say.
It's
all
okay.
the poses.
You'll say all of them, but it's okay. This is, I'm not meant, you don't mean, you don't have to get the answer right away. Like, let's think, like, because this is like your balancing pose, right? So you're getting that already. So you could cut eagle. You could keep it too, but it's one of those, if you look at your time and you're like, I'm not gonna have enough time to teach half moon, I gotta cut something, then yes, then cut eagle.
And you're working the standing leg, like not the same way, but it's still getting
Yes.
work on
Mhm.
one leg.
Yep, exactly. Mhm. Yep. And you could do it in a couple ways where you could still do that standing forward fold and crow. You could still do that if you wanted to, or you could just cut, you could cut it out all, you could cut this whole, that whole section, that eagle section out if you needed to, if you wanted to make sure you had enough time for it. It's just, that would be your choice. That would be like time management. When you're in the moment, you have to kind of decide like where everything's at. If you're seeing they're starting to get, if they're kind of tired and you know you're still going to do this, then I would definitely cut that out so that they have enough energy to actually do half moon. Yes.
If you do you need to get another active forward fold at least in somewhere else?
I mean, I would like for you to, but you don't have to, because you are getting a lot of forward folds up here with your sun A's and your sun B's. But you don't have to. They are nice hamstring stretches, so that is good, but you don't have to.
Could you do it in Utkatasana, like instead of? Or no, never mind. That's what we're
Okay. You're fine.
And do a forward fold.
Well, yeah, you could, because maybe you cut this out, all the eagle and the forward fold and the crow all out, you get through half moon and you realize like, you might be like, oh shit, now I have all this extra time. So that can happen. And that's where you need to start to think like, okay, well, I could do 2 rounds of camel, or I could do 2 rounds of locust, or I could add another seated forward fold, right? That's where you'll have to make some choices then. Like, what else do you want to start to add? If need be.
Sorry, we may not be there yet. What is a counter pose for half moon?
What do you think? We haven't talked about that yet.
Rabbit.
Rabbit?
Go more simple. I mean, just your 5-pointed star is really going to be a good counter. And then you go into that forward fold, that wide-legged forward fold is a great like counter neutralizer for all that standing balance and that opening. So now it kind of comes in a little bit. Yeah. So half moon can go here. What if we can erase this, I'm sure, because you all got that. What if we did a sun C? And we put half moon here. So, yep, so basically you do your normal sun B, you flow it 3 times. You could pause, take a break. Then you go, and this can be your choice. So you could go warrior 2, extended side angle, reverse. Then you could go back to warrior 2 and then come right into half moon. You can go into half moon from warrior 2, extended side angle, or reverse warrior, any of those. Any of those are accessible for half moon. Oh, but wait, hang on. I forgot what made this a sun C. Then you would add triangle. So it would look, sorry, I don't know, I'm tired. It's been a day. So you do your warrior 2, extended side angle, reverse warrior, come back to warrior two, straighten the leg, go into triangle pose. And then from there, you can go right into half moon, or you can come up and out, whatever you want for your next one, and then go into half moon from there. And then you could then do your prasarita, your wide-legged forward fold. You could do all of that here. So that means then you're cutting this later, because you've just kind of bumped it up to here.
And if that was a power class, could you do what Grace said earlier about the ladder, where you're doing yourself deep with the half triangle? Too much.
I mean, it just depends. Depends.
Would that just be one round of Sensi?
Yeah, just one time. So Sensi is usually just a one-time through. Mhm. Yeah, right.
Is there anything additional you need to do in terms of like stretching out the hamstrings or opening the hips if you're gonna move it up further in the class? Because now you haven't had quite as much
Yeah.
through like crescent and stuff.
So I would definitely surf. I'd surf here for sure. So making sure you're surfing forward and back. And my Sun A could be a Sun A plus. You know, that could be my Sun A, maybe. Yeah, you know, because you do get a lot of little, or you could just do that Sun A plus right here. You could do that one again here, because that is getting hamstring. But this Sun B is really great. It really does warm you up pretty well. And then if you hold your triangle for a while, the breath kind of slows down a little bit, and then you can come up if you need to demo or whatever, and then you move into your half moon. And that should be good for most, not everybody. Oh, here's the other thing I would do is right here in your integration, I would do a modified side plank. Because that is basically half moon kneeling. You know what I mean? So that way it's like, they're mimicking the shape right there.
And then if you also have the Sun A plus, then you get the balancing, you're just not open.
Yeah, exactly. Is this clicking a little bit? Like even a little, like a little bit, a lot of it? Okay, great. Cool. I mean, and someone else could come in here and give you a whole other different idea too. So know that it's endless. Like the possibilities are really endless. But remember, it comes back to knowing our class, like who is in the room and teaching to them. So how do we decide, like, say you have a plan that you're going to do something a little bit more complicated. How will you know when you need to scrap that plan? What will give you an idea? How soon in class? Megan?
Like if I was to see a bunch of new pieces.
But what if they weren't? So pretend like everybody's new always to you. So say you're a new teacher, so everyone's going to be new to you. How else could you tell? Like in the room, like as soon as the class starts, at what point would you be like, oh, I got to really dial this back? What's going to give you cues?
Seeing how people
I would probably say like, innovation society, because when you see them go from down to Cobra and you see their down dog.
Yep, you'll see their down dog. Their down dog is going to give you a lot of information. And then if you do a vinyasa, and that's really going to give you some good quick data of like, oh, okay, they are brand new. Because sometimes you get into a room and if maybe you didn't get to check in your class, so you don't know that you've got a bunch of beginners. Like sometimes that just maybe that communication doesn't happen, or they don't tell you that they're brand new to yoga. And then you like see in the moment, you're like, oh, okay, I've got to adapt. I need to adjust the flow. We're going to add some more things in to kind of mimic and adjust, or I'm going to have to cut my plan. I'm going to cut my plan and I'm going to go back to just the straight up sequence. And we'll do this and we'll pare it down as we need to. So it's like you have a plan, but you got to be willing to just scrap it for the next time.
Is that where maybe you try to find this
place to swap out for like the modified side plank again instead of
Yep.
going into a full half moon?
Absolutely. Mhm. That might be like, you realize like, oh, this is a lot of new people. So you're like, okay, so instead of focusing on half moon, I'm just gonna focus on side plank. That's where my focus is gonna be, because then when you get to your side plank down here, then you can revisit that side plank on the knee again. Or you can show them to have the leg straight, depending on how their body, if their body's receiving it well or not. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's break out into groups. I just want to now try this on your own. So you can look in groups, not on your own, like not a solo, unless you really just want to work by yourself. You can just work by yourself. That's really fine. But you can look at the list of poses that you did with Kristen, right? All those additional poses, and to be like, okay, how would I wear, if this is going to be my peak pose, or just say, I just want to add this into my class. Like what pose would that be? What would that look like? What would be your process to go about doing it? Okay. All right, so we'll just give that a try. And friends at home, I'm going to put you all into a larger group. We're going to do, let me see here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, groups of 4 is great. Yeah, I'm gonna put, let's see, how many are you? There's 6 of you. I'm gonna just put you all in a group together. We're just gonna do that. Your friends at home. So I'm like, oh, I can just delete. Oh, wait. Hang on. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up this. Let me pause this. Weird. Okay, we're back. All right, how was that exercise?
We're gonna have to.
Did it go well? Did you all have fun? Did you have fun doing it, kind of playing and getting creative there with it?
It's complicated and I'll speak like that makes sense.
Okay. So we've just got like 10 minutes, because then we'll do the word. So is there anyone who wants to like share their thing that we were like, please, that like who wants to?
We did forearm balance.
Forearm stand. What did you all do at home? You all did side crow, right? Mhm. What did you do? Shoulder stand. Okay. Lolasana. Ooh. Whoa. They're all hardcore over here. Well, does anyone want to share their thing? What they did? Is anyone having a strong like, yes, give it to it? Okay, there are a little Lolasana people want to. All right.
I'll just show one side, like the way that we would do it. So we would put Lolasana as part of the crescent series and replacing the side plank. So first off, in integration, we would do a modified side plank so that we don't leave out on all of that.
Okay.
But so you're in crescent, you come down to your lizard lunge, you hang out here, and when you're done, you come up. But instead of going to plank, you come down, like you keep the knee down and you're in both knees, then you sit back, talk them through, do Lolasana here, let it down, come back up, then you just come forward, press back, and then go through the other side.
Yeah.
And we talked about to make up for side plank, we would put that modified in integration. And since we're talking through Lolasana as an arm balance, and they're doing it twice, we're gonna get rid of crow.
Okay. I would actually keep crow, because since you're doing that, like crow will feel so easy.
So it's almost like crow becomes the peak of Lolasana.
It could be, or it's like Lolasana can be the peak, but then they do crow and they're like, oh my gosh, crow is so simple now compared to, I think, because Lolasana is hard, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's really freaking hard.
The only thing is, well, like, because both of those, especially if you have to instruct both, is a lot of time.
So that's where so just remember, okay, in what you're learning in the sequence, you all are breaking crow down all the time. How many of you have been to class where the teacher doesn't break it down? All the time, right? So what I do when I don't have time to break it down, but I'm going to throw that option out, I say this, I say crow or go into Malasana, and I go into Malasana and show them that option. And I can say you can do anything in between. So your choice. So that way, if someone is brand new and they're like, I don't know what's happening, they can join me in Malasana, or they can look around the room if they want to like try to copy what someone's doing, or just let people pick what they want to do. Yeah. Cool. And what's your counter to
Camel.
camel? Like doing a little camel? Okay. Yeah. That works. Nice. Yeah. I would have never thought to put it there, but that's good. Yeah. Fun variety, changing it up. Okay, well, anyone else have a quickie? Is yours quick at home? Is yours kind of quick? I'm peeking her. Yes? No? Yes, Jasmine shaking her head. They're gonna do it. We're gonna let our Zoom people, whoever wants to talk. Side crow. Whoa, sorry, that was real wobbly.
Okay, I'll jump in there. So with ours, we had side crows, our peak pose. So firstly, we incorporated forward fold with a side twist. So when you're folding, yeah. So you're reaching down towards the floor and you're reaching up towards the opposite side. And then from tabletop, using thread the needle. I forgot exactly where, but prior to doing side crow, then doing side crow, and then in Utkatasana doing the prayer twist.
Are you doing that instead of eagle or also?
We didn't really talk about where we were replacing, so I assume so.
Okay.
Instead of eagle.
Okay.
And then after doing side crow, neutralizing the spine by doing child's pose, and then stretching out the side bodies by moving kind of to either side of the mat.
What do you mean by that? I don't know.
Like when you're in child's pose and you reach out and you kind of curve.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To neutralize the spine is like a counter pose.
Okay. You could do that. I would say that might be a little too restorative after side crow. That like just a straight up forward fold, just doing like your Padahastasana, that forward fold would be a good neutralizer for that one. Because then it's like you're doing the pose, you're doing a pose that's in your sequence already, and it neutralizes. Does that make sense? So you just so you do prayer twist, go into side crow, then go into forward fold, do your Padahastasana, then release it, feet back together, prayer twist to the other side, then side crow, forward fold, and do a second round of Padahastasana. Yeah. Good. Nice. There we go. Look at all these classes you have already. I love it. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay. With that being said, it's time. So I hope so what we'll do with all of this is after your friends and family next week. I know I said I wouldn't bring it up again, but I'm just telling you that. You will have 2 hours of practice teach time with me, and I am really going to let you all do what you need for that to help prepare you for your teach out. So if you're like feeling good about things and you want to like kind of practice teach maybe the sequence you all created and you want to do that, like you can practice some of that stuff. Or if you're like, I just want to like practice the Cambio sequence and that's what I feel like I need right now, I think that's great. What I will say is that what I would love to see when you do practice teach is that you're actually like moving around the mat and like pointing, and like you're not just standing in one place. Like pretend like you're in an actual class as best that you can. That sort of thing. I'll remind you when you do this again, but just to know that next Sunday when we're together for practice teach time, you've got some options of how you want to use that time when we're together. Okay. And then I'll see you all on Tuesday for Business of Yoga. So yeah, so bring any and all questions you have. I have that handout I posted already, and I have things I'll go over, but it's really like, it's a fun conversation because it really is driven by the questions that you all have too. So like if you're like, how do you do this, or what, like I like to tell you guys all the things. I don't keep secrets on any of this stuff. So whatever you have questions about, I'll share any of my experience with you all that I can for that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so let's do the word, shall we? Okay, we'll start with the lovely friends at home. Aubrey, you're up in my top corner.
Stiff.
All right, Kayla.
Journey.
Hey, Jasmine.
Ease.
Nice, Monica.
Hopeful.
Nice, Kelsey.
Happy.
Nice, Lauren.
Progress.
Nice. All right, we'll start this way. Okay, and speak loudly.
Rejuvenated.
All right.
Options.
Focus, creativity, integrating, progress, creativity,
Movement.
fun.
Grace.
Aw, Grace. There we go. I love it. Ah, so great. Ah, so good. Perfect. All right. Well, have fun tomorrow. Best of luck. Have fun with Austin, getting to see him tomorrow. And maybe I'll see you all tonight. I don't know if anyone's coming to the class tonight. See you for that. Well, tonight is, I'm just coming to practice. It's the benefit, it's at 5:30 to 7. Garrett and Brooke are teaching, they're gonna co-teach it. And it's that fundraiser for Silver Key for Austin's mom, with her passing away. So, but I teach tomorrow night. I teach Sunday, 5:45. Be there or not.
I'll be there.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Yeah.
Is there a way to like donate to that class without signing up for it?
You could sign up for the Zoom, because there's a Zoom option. Yeah, so if you wanted to, because then it doesn't mess with the space in studio. I think some of the teachers who couldn't make it, or like the ones who were teaching did, that's how they did it. I was like, oh, good idea. So if you were like, can't make it and want to just do Zoom, you're welcome to. Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.